For generations, the galaxy was taught to mourn the fall of the Jedi as a tragedy, a sudden massacre, a betrayal born of malice. We were shown burning temples, fallen masters, and the echo of screams, and we were told to feel pity. But history often lies, not through falsehood, but through framing. By focusing on the smoke and the fire, we miss the rot that existed long before the first shot was fired. What if the fall of the Jedi was never meant to be understood as a crime? What if it was the unavoidable result of a system that had already passed the point of survival? To call the destruction of the Jedi tragic is to misunderstand the fundamental laws of nature. In the wild, when an apex predator becomes too slow, too rigid, and too specialized to hunt, it does not die because the forest is cruel. It dies because it has become obsolete. Extinction is not a punishment, it is a correction. And make no mistake, by the time of the Clone Wars, the Jedi Order was already extinct. They were simply walking ghosts who had not yet realized they were dead. The Jedi Order did not collapse because it was attacked by the Sith. It collapsed because it could no longer adapt to the galaxy it claimed to serve. For 1,000 years, the Jedi existed as guardians of peace, yet peace itself had become a poison. They built their temple on the highest peak of Coruscant, literally raising themselves above the people they were sworn to protect. From those spires, they could not see the slavery in the outer rim. They could not feel the suffering in the lower levels. They mistook their own comfort for galactic stability. Their teachings froze emotion, denied attachment, and treated change as corruption. In doing so, they mistook control for balance and stillness for harmony. What they built was not a living system, but a preserved one, ancient, rigid, and increasingly detached from reality. They became bureaucrats in robes, debating semantics in circular chambers while the galaxy burned around them. They stopped listening to the will of the Force and started listening to the will of the Senate. When a spiritual order becomes a political instrument, it loses its divine protection. It becomes just another pillar of a crumbling government waiting to be toppled. A living galaxy cannot remain frozen forever. This is a law of physics as much as it is a law of the Force. Pressure accumulates in silence. Political decay spreads unseen. Wars are postponed, not resolved. Fear is buried beneath ceremony and protocol. The Jedi did not remove the darkness. They simply sealed it beneath layers of dogma. Imagine a massive glacier dominating a valley. To the observer, it appears powerful, eternal, and pure. It reflects the light, it seems immovable. Yet a glacier is not a sign of life. It is a sign of arrested movement. It is water that has forgotten how to flow. Beneath its frozen mass, hidden cracks form. Stress builds up over centuries. The weight of its own existence begins to crush the foundation. When that glacier finally breaks, the collapse is catastrophic. It tears down the mountainside, burying everything in its path. But the collapse did not happen because the glacier was betrayed by the mountain. It happened because the ice resisted the changing season for too long. The Jedi were that glacier, majestic, respected, but immobile in a universe defined by motion. They tried to freeze the galaxy in a state of perpetual light, forgetting that day must turn to night. By denying the dark side its natural place in the cycle, they didn't defeat it. They pressurized it. They turned a flowing river into a ticking bomb. We look at the Clone Wars as the cause of the fall, but this is backward. The war was not the disease, it was the terminal symptom. It was the moment the sickness finally became visible. Think about it. The guardians of peace became generals of an army. Monks who were forbidden to love were suddenly commanding millions of vat-grown soldiers to die in their name. This contradiction shattered their moral authority long before Order 66. The public saw it, the Senate saw it. The galaxy watched the Jedi compromise every single one of their principles in the name of victory. By the time Palpatine issued the order, the Jedi had already lost. They had lost the philosophical war. They were no longer peacekeepers. They were soldiers fighting for a corrupt republic. Order 66 was simply the final gavel stroke on a death sentence the Jedi had written for themselves. When the clones turned, it wasn't just a tactical maneuver. It was the galaxy's immune system rejecting a foreign body. The Jedi had become incompatible with the very force they claimed to wield. What followed was not freedom, but absolute control. The Republic died alongside the Jedi, and in its place rose the Empire. To many, this seemed like the ultimate evil, a descent from idealism into tyranny. But the Empire did not emerge from the void. It was born from the same unresolved tensions that destroyed the Jedi. It was the galaxy's desperate attempt to impose structure after trauma. It was a reflex. When a body is shattered, you do not tell it to be free. You bind it, you restrict it, you place it in a caste. The Empire offered stability, but it was a brittle, industrial stability. Order enforced through fear does not heal wounds, it merely hides them. The galaxy appeared calm, painted in the gray uniformity of star destroyers and stormtroopers, but beneath the surface, resentment fermented. The Empire was not a cure. It was a cast placed over a shattered bone, necessary to hold the pieces together for a time, but never meant to be permanent. A cast is uncomfortable, it itches, it restricts movement, it is ugly. But without it, the bone grows back crooked. The Empire provided the brutal rigidity required to keep the galaxy from dissolving into total anarchy after the Clone Wars. It was a necessary evil, a transition phase between the chaotic decay of the Republic and whatever was meant to come next. This is the great misunderstanding of the era. The fall of the Jedi was not the end of balance. It was the end of stagnation. The rise of the Empire was not balance restored, but imbalance temporarily restrained by iron. What the galaxy entered was a phase of suspended violence, a false peace that delayed, rather than prevented, the next collapse. History is not a sequence of heroes and villains. It is a cycle of systems rising, calcifying, and breaking under their own weight. The Jedi failed because they resisted change. The Empire failed because it enforced control instead of understanding. Both believed stability could be imposed without transformation, and both were wrong. True balance is not the absence of darkness. It is the movement between forces. Flow, not purity. Adaptation, not preservation. Evolution, not dogma. When systems forget this, the galaxy responds, not with mercy, but with correction. The Force does not mourn the falling leaf, it feeds the soil with it. The Jedi were the leaf that refused to fall, clinging to the branch long after winter had arrived. The Sith were merely the wind that finally shook them loose. The fall of the Jedi was inevitable because they refused to evolve. The peace that followed was fragile because it was built on fear. And the next collapse was already written the moment the Empire mistook silence for harmony. This is not the end of the story. It is merely the midpoint. The galaxy has been broken, stabilized, and now waits, tense, restrained, and unresolved. What comes next is not redemption, but confrontation, not balance, but reckoning. Because when pressure is delayed, rather than released, the eventual eruption is always greater. The cast must eventually be removed. And when it is, we will see if the bone has healed, or if it has rotted underneath the armor. The galaxy has not finished breaking yet.